Zeke Cole, a kind-hearted diner owner, was on the verge of losing his business. His creditors were demanding payment, and his neighbors and suppliers were spreading rumors about his impending failure. Despite the mounting pressure, Zeke continued to feed a silent, ragged stranger who came to his diner every day. One Thursday morning, Zeke received a foreclosure notice. His diner, the last thing he had left, would be repossessed in days unless he could pay his debts. The following morning, as officers arrived to seize the property, the stranger returned. This time, he wasn't looking for a meal. He was a billionaire who had been testing Zeke's kindness. The billionaire bought the diner, cleared all of Zeke's debts, and even offered to fund new locations for him, ensuring his business would thrive. The reunion. Simone's high school classmates, Emily and Mike, planned a reunion to mock her. When Simone arrived, she had transformed into a beautiful and confident woman, surprising everyone. The dojo. Hey, mop guy, center mat now. Blake Harrison's voice sliced through the Philadelphia dojo. His third Dan black belt was a banner of his authority. Let's give the class a little show. Elias Cole, the janitor, didn't stop mopping the floor. At 45, he had been the dojo's janitor for a month, a silent figure who only appeared after the last student had left. I'm almost done here, sensei, Elias replied, his voice even and low. He didn't look up from a stubborn rubber mark. Don't want to hold up your instruction, he added. A loud, theatrical laugh erupted from Blake. Look here, everyone. The help is afraid to step on the tatami. A few students chuckled nervously. Elias was a ghost of a man, haunted by a secret he'd kept for 25 years. A secret not even his daughter knew. He was Elias the Anchor Cole, a 5-time world champion who vanished at the peak of his career. He had sworn an oath never to fight again after the tragic death of his best friend and training partner, Leo the Fury Diaz. Come on, it's easy, Blake sneered, approaching Elias. We'll just show my students the difference between a man who dedicates his life to the art and a man who just cleans up after him. He deliberately mispronounced Elias's name. A familiar fire flickered in Elias's chest. His eyes finally met Blake's, and in that instant, a flicker of something ancient and dangerous forced Blake to take a step back. It's just an educational demonstration, nothing serious, Blake said, his arrogance laced with uncertainty. Elias placed the mop and bucket aside and rose to his full height. He moved with a fluid grace that seemed utterly out of place. All right, Elias said, his voice a dead calm. But when this is over, you will apologize to your students. You will explain to them why you turned their dojo into your personal circus. Blake's laugh was brittle this time. Apologize? The only thing you'll be apologizing to is the floor for hitting it so hard. Elias watched the students form a hesitant circle. He saw the mix of morbid curiosity and genuine unease, especially in Alina Sharma, a brown belt who muttered her disapproval to a classmate. Here, Blake announced, gesturing grandly toward Elias. We have a perfect example of someone who doesn't understand that certain people belong in certain places. An elite dojo is not for, well, you get the picture. The familiar sting of prejudice from 25 years ago returned. But the rage that had once been a wildfire was now something colder and more powerful. Sensei Harrison. Alina's voice was quiet but firm. Perhaps we could just finish our cool-down exercises? It's getting late. Excuse me, Miss Sharma. Are you questioning my methods? Blake's voice dripped with menace. You are, she replied, her chin held high. But that doesn't give you the right to use racial humiliation as a teaching tool. A dark flush crept up Blake's neck. Racial? This has nothing to do with race. This is about discipline and knowing your damn place. Elias opened his eyes, the courage in Alina's voice reminding him of his younger sister, Maya, who had the same refusal to tolerate injustice. Maya had been killed at 17, another soul he loved lost while he chased fame in the ring. So, janitor? Blake sneered, circling him. You going to show us that guard, or is forming a fist too complex for a guy who holds a mop handle all day? Blake's mistake came when he reached out and shoved Elias's shoulder. It was a light, dismissive push, but Elias didn't move. His feet were like roots sunk into the foundation. To Blake, it felt like shoving a granite statue. Interesting, Elias murmured, his voice quiet but landing with the weight of a hammer blow. It's been a long time since anyone's put their hands on me like that. Alina, a kinesiology student, saw the subtle shift in Elias's breathing and the coiled tension in his muscles. It reminded her of a documentary she'd studied on apex predators. Elias closed his eyes for a fraction of a second. He was no longer in the dojo. He was back at the Crucible in Reno 25 years ago, standing in the deafening roar of the crowd before his title fight. He had won that fight, but the victory felt like a curse, leading to the sparring session where he lost control and caused Leo Diaz's death. Alina's fingers flew across her phone. The results made her blood run cold. The Crucible was a legend, the place where champions were forged. Last chance, Blake. Elias's voice cut through the tension. Apologize to the lady. Apologize to your students. Apologize for the shame you've brought to this art. Blake chose violence. His jab was fast and aimed to punish, but Elias flowed aside like smoke. Blake's punch met empty air. A frantic combination followed, jab, cross, hook, but Blake hit nothing. Elias swayed, ducked, and stepped back, each movement impossibly fluid. You leave yourself wide open, Elias observed, his voice a steady metronome. Fight me. Blake roared, lunging forward. Elias slipped inside the attack. You want to know the difference between a gym fighter and a champion? Before Blake could answer, Elias placed his palm flat on his chest. It wasn't a strike, it was a touch, and Blake flew backward as if hit by a car, landing with a sickening thud. That's impossible, he wheezed. It's physics. A lifetime of practice, Elias said, standing over him. Alina's voice, shaking but clear, answered for him, reading from her phone. Elias Cole, the anchor. 5-time world heavyweight champion, undefeated. The name shattered the last of Blake's arrogance. His face went corpse white. He had tried to humiliate a living legend. If you had known, Elias's voice was quiet, you would have respected me. But what about the next janitor? The one without a title? Does he deserve less? Mr. Tanaka, the dojo's owner, stood in the doorway. He had seen everything on the security feed. Son. He strode to the center of the mat, his gaze burning into Blake. Take off your belt. Numbly, Blake untied the symbol of his identity and let it fall. You have brought shame to this house, Tanaka said, his voice like chipping ice. You are a bully, not a sensei. Sign this resignation, or I will ensure you never teach again. Anywhere. Broken. Blake scrawled his name and shuffled out of the dojo. Tanaka turned to Elias, bowing deeply. Cole-san, you have shown my students what true mastery is. Help me teach them. Help me restore the honor of this place. Not with a mop, but as a master. Elias looked at the discarded black belt on the floor, then at the hopeful faces of the students. The ghost he had tried to bury for 25 years was finally at peace. Yes, Elias said, a real smile touching his lips for the first time. I can do that.